Good evening, everybody. I want to say good evening to everyone here today who's in person online. I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy lives to just spend a few moments, a few hours with your Henrico County leadership. We have a robust agenda tonight, a lot of subjects we want to cover. For those who don't know, my name is Roscoe Cooper III. I am the Fairfield representative for the Board of Supervisors, as well as I'm the current vice chair. Spent 8 years on the school board representing the Fairfield district. So this is my 10th year representing this district. So we're excited tonight. Can we just give ourselves a hand for being here tonight? I want you to put these dates down. Our next three forums are on the screen. You can see the next one is going to be October the 30th at 6:30 at Harvey Elementary School, November 20th, 6:30 at the Henrico Sports and Event Center, and then lastly, but certainly not least, December 18th at Eastern Henrico Recreation Center. Since I've been on the board, it's been my intentional effort to make sure that these forums are held all over the district. Not just centralized in one area, but I was so excited to come over to Lakeside last year to start off the forums. And it's so good to be back because a lot is going on in Lakeside. Really excited about Lakeside. So if you haven't been on Lakeside in a long time, keep on coming back to Lakeside. You're going to be pleased and you're going to be proud of what's going on. So we want to go ahead and get started tonight. I'm really excited. He wanted to be here tonight. He found out about the forum. Is our county manager, Mr. John Patokis. Can we give him a hand as he comes today?
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Good evening, everyone. So I wanted to give you an update on the best products site where we have a project that potentially could be transformational, not just for Henrico County, but for our region. So this project goes back to, you all are familiar with Richmond Coliseum. It's still there. At some point, we're going to try to help the city, the region is, through the Convention Center Authority to take down that facility. But there was a question downtown in the city of Richmond years ago as to whether or not a Coliseum would be built downtown, rebuilt. You all recall that was called the Navy Hill Project. So the Navy Hill Project, ultimately, City Council debated to death. And ultimately, that project was not feasible anymore in the city of Richmond. And so we had a group of developers that came to us and said, you know, would you want an arena in Henrico County, similar to the Coliseum? And the answer was, well, we don't really do arenas. It's not our bailiwick, but what we do is economic development. So if you are interested in bringing us an economic development project, we will sit and listen. And we did, and we worked with this development team for a number of years, and ultimately they were not successful because they had spent so much money on the Navy Hill project that they weren't able to bring it out of the ground. So Henrico County, years ago, when I was the finance director and Virgil Hazlett was the county manager, purchased the Best Products site. How many folks are familiar with the old Best Products building? So that was a major employment center. Great company, Best Products. They had, for the younger people, they had a thing called catalogs, and that was how they made their money. For the older folks like me, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. They were very successful for many years. Ultimately, that land transferred to the Bank of America, had a presence there, and then the county bought it. So my predecessor bought it with the intention of moving the government to that site. When I became the county manager, I came in and I looked at it, and it's a massive building. It would have required about $80 million in improvements. It is very impersonal as a government center. So I said, no, we're gonna save this land for some sort of economic development project in the future. And so fast forward, where we are now is we have a district that includes the Scott Farm property, 100 some acres to the north that abuts 295. The Best Products site is literally on 95 on Pyramid. Its intersection with Route 1 near 301. So the Scott Farm property, Markel Eagle is building a significant residential development there. About 900 homes. That was rezoned a number of years ago. That'll tie into the best products site, which will have an arena somewhere in the 15 to 17,000 seat range. That'll be privately financed. And what you'll see there is a commercial district similar to some of the redevelopments that we've had in the county. Think of Libby Mill, think of West Broad Village, think of Greengate, think of Rockets Landing, where you have multiple uses on a piece of property, but the focus will be entertainment and restaurants and think of the area called the Mall in Charlottesville, where you have a pedestrian basically walkway with shops on both sides and restaurants. So that's the vision. So where are we now? Where we are is we are Scott Road. That bridge got hit so many times. It's a VDOT owned facility that VDOT said, you know what, we can't rebuild this bridge. But we're working with VDOT to basically rebuild that bridge, and that will be a pedestrian facility. So you'll be able to ride a bike, walk over it, no cars. The cars actually will come down Magellan Parkway that has been realigned, and you will see on the backside of the best product site an alignment to Route 1 that'll go over 95. So the county has designed that. Construction will be completed by 2026. So 2 new bridges in the area. All of the public infrastructure for the best product site is either in design, it's all funded, and shortly will be constructed. So we have put out a request for information, which is basically a call to the private sector to say, look, we have this land and here's what we're looking to do with it. We have multiple entities that are interested, have responded, and we will be going through a series of interviews with those groups to see who we ultimately as a county select to develop that arena and that entertainment based or anchored district. We expect to have that result by the end of the year, but arenas are done 2 ways. You either, as localities do, Washington, D.C., I think it was this morning's newspaper, you know, RFK Stadium, the old RFK Stadium is being torn down. That's a $3 billion project with a B. But most of that funding is coming from Washington, D.C. We're not doing that. And that's why it's been hard. What we are doing is we are bringing in developers and interviewing the 2 largest arena companies that basically run and own arenas in the world. Those are going to be the folks that own and operate that facility. What we are doing is offering to those developers any new taxes that are generated on that site, because right now there's no tax revenue that is generated, could be used to pay some bonds or some debt associated with that facility. So that's money that's not here that will come in that ultimately would be dedicated to that facility. For those that may not be familiar, there's a term for it in the governmental realm. It's called tax increment financing. That will not pay for the arena. That will pay for a portion of the arena. It is mostly privately funded. So that is that, in addition to what has happened at Virginia Center Commons. You all remember that old mall. And, you know, we had a board of supervisors that was brave enough to say, you know, we need to redevelop that area. So when we came forward and said we want to buy half a mall, think about most elected bodies would say, have you lost your mind? And ultimately what we have the Henrico Sports and Event Center that is literally producing revenue for the county that continues to help us do things like offset or reduce the taxes, the real estate taxes, the personal property taxes, which we've done as a county recently. So I will pause there and see, are there any questions about best for me and what I've talked about? Yes, sir.
So that rerouting the first one, so does that market cover out each page of those part now.
Here. So regarding the rerouting of Route 1, you said that was
It's not rerouting of Route 1.
okay, sorry.
So it's tied on to Route 1.
Okay, it's the Magellan Parkway, is that correct?
Yes, sir. So are you familiar with the backside of the best products where that building where you've got Dominion on one side of the road, and as you go forward, it's a small little country road. That road will be widened all the way through. And then as it goes into a 90-degree turn, it will go literally straight and it'll cross the interstate and tie into Route 1.
Okay, and that'll be the second bridge because the Scotts Road original bridge will be restored.
Yeah, that bridge was low. It was built years ago. Trucks kept hitting it. I don't know how many times it was hit, but VDOT finally said, look, it's just not safe. And so they took it down. And what we're going to do is build the bridge higher. And basically, it'll be a pedestrian bridge. So it will not be for cars. It'll be for people walking or biking.
Okay, thank you.
No, because it'll be taller. Yeah, those bridges that were built in the 50s, very low. You know, trucks were different heights, that kind of thing. Who else? Let's have some other hands. Yes, ma'am.
How are y'all going to get the traffic from the events handled on the roads as they are now?
So you're going to have another entrance into that property that will align with a street that is on the other side of Parham Road. So that's where the entrance will be. It will be larger. You'll have different signals that go towards 301, towards Parham, towards 95. You'll also have a new on-ramp on I-95. You'll see improvements on Route 1 and Parham. So this has all been modeled. And what we also have in Henrico that you don't see in other cities or in other localities in our region. If you go to most large sporting events or most large county venues, think of the 4th of July event that we have, or recently at Dory Park National Night Out, where we had 10,000 people in the county park. What you have is the presence of Henrico Police. And so we will make sure that, you know, you have plans where people are released. Sometimes, you know, if you think back to the races when we were getting 100,000+ people at the race, we would actually contraflow Laburnum. So Laburnum, all 4 lanes would go. I'm not saying we do that, but what we do have is we've modeled this, and we also have police. Bodenhammer, Captain Bodenhammer is actually part of a committee that is going through all of these proposals, so we make sure that there is as little impact on those roads as possible. But you've got 2 interstates literally right there, 301, Route 1. You could not pick a better location for getting folks out. Yes, ma'am.
How many seats did you say this new arena was going to have?
It all depends on what these folks bring us. We're not fixed on it's got to be this many seats. What we are trying to do is attract an NCAA men's basketball tournament, you know, championship game, and so or weekend, and so that requires anywhere from 12 to 18,000 seats. They're all over the board, but it will depend on the final design, what someone comes forward, and what they're willing to put into it. Yes.
People that are quite fast. Hey, oh, we can find folks here. Yeah, I'll tell you.
Okay. So the Siegel Center can't handle the Final Four?
No.
And then the other question is like, so the racetrack doesn't do like you to concerts like that. So is this a concert venue?
It will be largely an entertainment venue that has a sports anchor. So think ice hockey. In particular, there's big demand for hockey in our region, and you're hopefully going to see a significant team come forward and locate here.
like looking here, but it's also for music, right?
It's for music, yes, ma'am, as well. So we are
Fox that wants to build it, and then that's going to be exactly how they're so important.
I mean, some of the ticket prices that I've seen recently, just nationwide at concerts, are pretty steep, and those the county has no control over. Did that answer your question?
Pretty
Because so with concerts, this area of the nation is one of the most underserved as far as having that type of facility. Study after study has shown that.
good.
That's why we're talking to the top 2 in the world.
Hi. So it's a great segue. Who are the top 2 in the world that you're talking to?
So it's ASM is one, global, and Oakview, number 2.
Who was the second one?
Oakview.
Oh, shoot. Would you know if they're the ones who handle the New Orleans sports arena for their basketball and hockey?
I don't. I know that both have 100 plus facilities. I mean, they're worldwide. So you've got facilities literally all over the world that both own and manage.
Constant.
Yeah, and I don't want to monopolize.
You want to take one more question? Sure. We'll do last of these last. Right here. Right here. Let's.
I'll speak loud.
No, that's it. But this might actually be this.
Yeah, good. Are you familiar with Mr. Ferguson and the Virginia Beach Arena project?
Just what I've read in the Virginia pilot.
Oh,
So I'm marginally. Why? What did you? Where?
well, I've always been supportive of Green City and very disappointed that it didn't go through. And about a month later, I guess because I've searched for years, I started getting information about this gentleman and his argument for their 20,000 square foot arena on Virginia Beach and between 17th and 19th Street, and compared it to this one where they already have everything. You know, they've got hotels, entertainment, the beach, and all they need to do is put the arena in versus having the arena and then having to attract other things.
Sure. Sure.
Repeat his questions because they didn't hear over here.
So the question was, there's an effort in Virginia Beach to build a large arena, and the gentleman was asking about, is their location, it seems ideal for that type of facility, and it may be ideal for Virginia Beach. The reality is this facility, if it happens, is going to go either in the Richmond area or in the Tidewater area. So you're not going to have one in Richmond, Norfolk, and Virginia Beach. There's just not enough of a market. Ideally, the first one that comes out of the ground is the one that will be successful. So I don't think, 20,000 versus 18 versus 15 is really going to be a driver. I will tell you that Virginia Beach years ago was the place that sports tourism, there was a lot of it. We've passed Virginia Beach, years ago, and we continue to set records. People love to come to our region because there are things to do. There may be things to do in Virginia Beach. I love going to the beach. What I don't love is the traffic. And quite frankly, we don't have that issue. So yes, sir, right here.
Last question.
I don't have a specific question on these projects individually, but what I'd like to know is what is the linkage between the Economic Development Authority, the Henrico County Board of Supervisors, and the taxpayers? Because I see that without being too caustic, I see the Green City. It was based on promises from a contractor and fell apart. And now, currently, we're seeing the Crossings, which was an EDA project. It was based on the promises of a contractor, and it is falling apart.
Well, so in both cases, what Henrico County, that is a great question. What Henrico County did not do was what others do, where they see project envy. If the math works for the project and it does not harm the taxpayers, then it'll be a good deal. If it's not, a lot of localities will want to chase that dream, chase that project. That's what happened in Navy Hill. You know, when the project got more and more expensive, the city said, "Well, here's how much of the downtown is going to be supporting this project," and they kept expanding the zone. We're not looking to do that. The relationship between the Economic Development Authority and Henrico County, in legal terms, the Economic Development Authority is considered a political subdivision of the Commonwealth, which means it can be its own independent thing. The reality is the Board of Supervisors appoint the directors to the Economic Development Authority, and I work very closely with the Economic Development. In fact, I hired him. And we're getting ready to hire a second one. I will be involved in that hire as well. So what the Economic Development Authority is able to do is attract businesses to our county. And they've been really successful because right now Henrico County has if we're either number 2 or number 3 in the Commonwealth in the number of jobs that we have. And number 1 is the great state of Fairfax. So there's no comparison to, so we are punching way above our weight. The EDA is a large reason for that.
Let me give our county manager a hand. Thank you so much, Mr. Manager. Thank you all for the questions. So on Lakeside, there's been a lot of questions concerning the Interstate 95 exchange and off ramp and on rate. And so we're so excited that we have a representative from VDOT, Mr. Philip Frazier. He's the resident engineer for Ashland. He's going to come and talk about Interstate 95 exit 80. Come on. Thank you so much, Frazier.
Appreciate it, Reverend Super. Be fat. Yeah, I'm planning to. Well, I'm gonna walk.
You're what?
Yeah. So, good evening, everybody. Philip Frazier, PDOT representative. I'm gonna do this in a couple of different parts. First, I'm just gonna give you a quick tidbit. Sorry, I'm gonna give you a quick tidbit about. I'm gonna be walking, so of who I am, what I do for the department, and how long I've been in my role. So I'm the resident engineer in Ashland, which represents 5 different localities across the Commonwealth: Goochland County, Henrico County, Hanover County, New Kent, and Charles City. So what my group does is we have what I like to think of it as 3 legs of transportation support. We provide maintenance. So we do your regular day-to-day pothole patching, grass mowing, things like that, repairs to transportation infrastructure in Henrico County. Now, in Henrico, there's a caveat. Henrico obviously has their own public works group that maintains the secondary system or the local road system. VDOT is responsible for the interstate system, so your 95 and 64. And we're also responsible for the primary system. So that's your Brook Road, Route 360, Broad Street, Patterson Avenue, routes like that. So that's kind of what we do in a nutshell from the maintenance side. We also support localities in their prioritization of capital improvement projects for transportation. So what we do is we help them perform studies, identify what the appropriate solutions are for some of the transportation issues that we experience as a whole, and then identify what kind of funding solutions might be out there to fund these projects. And then the last thing is through zoning and really land use and land development support. We will review traffic impact analysis, these studies that really look at the type of impacts that a large development might bring to the transportation system. So that is the kind of the 3 legs that my group is responsible for up in Ashland. Next, I'm going to talk a little bit about exit 80. That was the primary objective that I was coming here tonight to accomplish. And then last, what I'll do is I'll answer some of the questions that were sent to me prior to the meeting, which were a little bit a different topic than exit 80. So with that, I'm going to move to the slides. I will ask you, bear with me. You might see that the style in the slides changes a little bit. I threw this together kind of last minute, pulled everything together. So I like to refer to it as kind of a Frankenstein presentation. So just bear with. Yes, ma'am.
It just looks good.
So exit 80 northbound coming off of I-195 to Hermitage Road.
That's Lewis Kinter. I only know wires.
I have some pictures. I think it might have the sign in there. It might say Lewis Kinter. I can't remember. One last little bit. I am a former Lakeside resident, so I'm really happy to be back here. Used to live off of Hermitage Road myself, so happy to be back in town. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about first is the project development process. This is where you identify a problem, whether it's congestion, safety, things like that. We have identified that there is a problem with the transportation network. Then we need to evaluate the problem. So that's where we talk about studies. We perform analysis where we collect data. We look at turning movement. We look at what type of developments are already planned and coming, what future traffic looks like, and we kind of project that out to a design year. Then, after we've evaluated the problem, we're going to propose and evaluate alternative solutions. So a good example, Mr. Garthright being my witness, we'll look at an intersection that many folks will say, hey, you need a signal at this intersection. And we'll say, well, is that the right solution here? Or is it a roundabout? Is it an R-cut, which is a forced right out of an interchange or intersection? Or is a signal the appropriate solution? So that's to propose and evaluate the alternative solutions. Then we will identify a preferred alternative solution. This is a collaborative effort with the locality and different stakeholders, including the department. That is where we are right now when it comes to exit 80 and the potential closure. And there is a public involvement piece of this. Okay. After that is accomplished, we'll start looking at what funding opportunities are out there. There's lots of grant programs, federal and state programs, and even the county has now really, multiple counties across the region are bringing local dollars to the transportation network. So there's a lot of opportunities for funding. Okay. After you've funded a project, we're going to go into the design and right-of-way acquisition phase, which also includes public input. And then you construct it and maintain it. So, right here, Interstate Alternatives Assessment Needs and Objectives. So what is the problem along 95 northbound approaching the exit 80 interchange that it would even bring up the concept of closing it? Well, what it is here, if you can imagine on 195, you see that red line? That is the PMP coming off of I-195, the flyover, onto I-95 northbound. So there is a congestion issue. There is also a safety issue. It has got a high crash rate with rear ends and crashes like that, which is attributed to slower speeds. So look at what are some alternatives. Well, alternative 1A, exit 80 stays open. Okay. Alternative 2, there is a partial closure of exit 80, so the northbound off-ramp. What is consistent with both alternatives is bringing a fourth lane to I-95 northbound. And I've got some pictures to really show what that means. So this is the bottleneck as you come off of 195. You can see those signs that I pointed out. You come in on 2 lanes and you break down to a single lane. So there's already a merge happening before you get on 95. So we said we have a congestion issue. Why? It's because of the folks that are bottlenecking at this interchange junction. So what can we do? Well, we have available pavement for additional lane, right? Maybe. You look at the shoulders here, you've got some pavement there. You've got some pavement on the left side. So maybe it makes sense to go ahead and take this where it bottlenecks and open it up to 2 lanes so that you have continuous traffic flow onto the interstate. Makes sense, right? Kind of. Sure. It's fair. There's your sign.
Yeah.
So,
3 years.
Yeah.
That way it's already messed up.
Already up with that. They did it.
sure. And we continue to have congestion issues along 95 right here. So I'm not saying that we haven't done anything in the past. I want to be clear before I go any further. There is not a funded project to close down exit 80. We put out a public survey to get feedback from the community. So this is not a funded project. And I want to make sure that everybody is aware that we heard the residents loud and clear. Not only us, but Henrico County. Okay. So getting back to it, there's your sign, Lakeside. So keep in mind what I said. Available pavement, right? Maybe not, right? Because right down the road, you have a bridge. You do not have a lot of pavement right there. So maybe all you're doing is really choking it down just to run into another problem. So what can we do? And then here is the actual ramp, looking northbound. I have another picture. This is actually what it could look like if you were to take 4 lanes through I-95. Not a great picture, but I think you get the idea. You used to have 3 lanes, 1, 2, 3, with the exit ramp, with 4 lanes. Now we do have some issues, and I'm going to get back to that with that bridge. This is the other option. Also 4 lanes. I told you there's 2 options with the closure, without the closure. Both of them include a 4th lane. Okay, this is looking south. Similar picture, adding the 4th lane. And this is the removal of the ramps. Okay, so what are the benefits of doing something like this? Well, it's operational. What you're gonna do is you're gonna remove this weaving action and this merging action on 195, and you're gonna be able to increase the mobility through I-95. So you can see right here, I'm showing 12 to 18 miles per hour. That's what we would call a no-build situation in the design year of 2050. That means we're gonna do nothing and it's gonna get worse, okay? On the right, you have alternative 1A, which is the widening with the ramp being open. And you can see you have some significant improvements in mobility and continuous traffic flow. That's depicted by 50 to 60 miles per hour. So we solved the problem, right?
That's
Maybe. Where am I supposed to click?
close.
Okay, I think I did move it. Okay, this is a similar slide that's just showing the PM peak hour. The one right before it was the AM peak. Really similar benefits. You're improving traffic flow. I think I'm getting picked up twice now.
Big there.
Sorry?
Straight.
Okay. Okay, so right here. Well, congestion isn't the only issue. We also have issues with safety. So exit 81 and 79 are really close together. And you have 80 right in between it. So I'm going to point to right here, the crash rate comparison in the Richmond district. We look at similar road facilities and see what the crash rate is on those roads versus what this segment looks like. So what I will tell you is between 79 and 80 in the northbound direction, there is a crash rate of 139 per 100 million. In the Richmond district, that average is 65. So you have about twice the amount of crash rate on this segment as you do on other similar interstates on average. and Richmond. Similar for the crash rate. We have an injury crash rate of about 39, whereas in Richmond District, that average is about 17.
So it's just northbound.
Just looking at northbound, that's what we're focusing on.
But that's the existing lanes. That's not setting.
Correct. You are absolutely right. What I am showing right here is the existing crash issue with the 3-lane configuration.
But they both when the brakes break is on the opposite actually go on about it past.
We do have that, but I did not bring it with me.
If some praise drivers over there also.
Yeah, I totally understand. And that was something that we did look at as part of this study, but I didn't bring anything about that because I wanted to focus on the closing of the northbound exit 80. So I apologize, and we can make that available to Public Works. Okay, so I'm bringing this picture back, the addition of a 4th lane. So what are some of the things that you have to sacrifice to accomplish this? You have a bridge. So let's imagine there's a couple options. Leave the bridge how it is. Maybe you can do it. Okay. What do you got to do? You have to reduce the lane width of the interstate lanes from 12 feet to 11 feet. You have to reduce the shoulder width from 2 feet or 2 feet. And then you're going to increase speeds. Okay. So you have shrunk the lanes and you have increased speeds, and you are moving traffic through here a lot faster. Okay. And you have less space going under this bridge. We did look at another alternative, which is actually a total rebuild of the bridge. And that is north of $80 million. Yes.
Right now, without rebuilding the bridge, the most you can get out there.
So to fit 4 lanes under the bridge, these are some of the things you would have to do. So you could do it, but it would require a design exception. It would not meet a VDOT standard. So I will tell you, I do not believe that there is a strong appetite to do this. Okay.
I mean, the exit is right after the bridge, so to leave that exit place, there's the cause of crashes, people trying to get from the left lane over to that exit, or is it from the like an into?
So it's a little bit of both. So you have slower speeds because it's congested, so you see more rearing crashes. People come through Richmond, they're moving at a higher clip, they run up on a congested area, rearing crashes. That also leads to secondary crashes. But you're right, there is some crash issues with the actual weaving, right? And so that's what I'm going to show here is right now you have an existing weave where you are in one lane and you have to cross traffic to get to this exit ramp. Yes, ma'am.
How is that existing bridge?
Actually, I think it is in one of the slides. I'll have to go back and look. I think it's like 56 years old, I want to say.
South?
Is it sound?
No, I
The,
is that after bridges.
I don't have the bridge inspection report with me, so I apologize.
Just the 4 lanes bridge.
Well, so the congestion again is before the bridge. It is really due to the I-195 traffic coming down, breaking in from 2 lanes into 1 lane and causing that congestion. Okay, so this is what I'm showing. I'm trying to give you an idea of what 4 lanes looks like. So I told you we have a weaving here, right? A 4th lane, you have more weaving. You have an additional lane that you have to weave. And this 4th lane eventually drops. We can't take this 4 lane all the way to New York, right? So it's eventually going to drop back to 3 lanes. So you're now sending someone in this 4th lane back over. So now you've increased a new weaving movement. Okay, so this is what I will tell you. We were in the public involvement, public input process of our study and our evaluation. We heard loud and clear that there is not a strong appetite from the community to close this particular ramp. So right now, what we're doing is we're going back to the study team and we're asking them to evaluate additional alternatives that doesn't shut down the ramps. And I can tell you that we work very closely with Public Works and multiple stakeholders about projects like this. We're not operating in a vacuum. We're not closing down ramps in a vacuum. What we were doing was gathering feedback for a potential solution, for an alternative that did have benefits, okay? Because you can imagine this weaving that I showed you. So why close the ramp, right? That's why we want to know, why close the ramp? All these weaving movements, they no longer exist. Okay, so you get that fourth lane, but you're not weaving back and forth. So that was the benefit. Now, that being said, I talked about the safety issues, shrinking the lanes, shrinking the shoulders. So we're trying to balance improving these congestion issues, increasing mobility, while also preserving safety. And I think that's really going to be the finer point for us moving forward. I don't know that this is an alternative that will go forward. Again, we've heard loud and clear. At this point, this is not a project that is funded. So we appreciate the input, but I don't think right now it would be accurate to say that it's something that is coming to fruition anytime soon. So I know I have some questions.
How about changing where 64 East goes into 95 North? Take that off of that whole 195 thing. So it's just 195 people coming. Maybe, I know there's open land there, right where that flyover happens. Put that back a little further so they join 95 North further back.
It's interesting. So one thing I can tell you, this is what we call a STAR study, strategically targeted affordable roadway solution. So one of our main emphasis on these studies is to find a low cost solution. So without looking at it, I don't really know what that looks like, but I totally understand it does sound like a very expensive project. So yes, absolutely. But when we're doing these studies, we're looking at alternatives that are going to be cheaper. And that's why we're even considering maybe it's just reducing those lane widths and fitting everything under the existing bridge. Again, I don't think that that's something that we're necessarily pursuing. So yes, ma'am.
So looking at that looks really dangerous. And wouldn't the cheapest option be and the safest option be to just close it and force everybody to take the previous or the other exits? They're not that far.
Yes. Right. Pure coefficient. It's not that
You go ahead and answer that question. Go ahead.
So we're trying to balance a lot. We're trying to balance improving congestion. We're trying to balance safety. There's obviously some other safety issues that we're going to experience, right? By adding that fourth lane, regardless of whether you close it or not.
exit. We from the max in Roscoe. It's the right to get all. But so as an age, it's 3 good similar size. Away was down to 30% only fast.
Let's real quick. Let's get this 3 more people so he can finish those questions. We got like a few more things to go. It was one, yes, sir.
If you close exit A, the people that usually get off at exit A will be forced to go to exit 81 at Chamberlain.
That is correct. And so one thing I didn't go into a lot of detail about, because I honestly don't think that this is something that the department is really pursuing right now. Okay. We evaluated it. We heard loud and clear what the public opinion was. But part of our evaluation process is to look at what does this actually do to Brook Road? When you shut down this ramp, all of the traffic that is going there, however many vehicles it is, they're going to go somewhere. They still need to go where they need to go. So we look at Brook Road to see what type of impacts it may experience by the additional traffic. Yes.
That means it doesn't come off of First Road. That's it.
That's correct.
It's an A.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, I think the on-ramp is off of Brook, and I think the off-ramp is onto Wilmer, like you said, right across from that Wawa.
Yes, sir. I travel that quite frequently, that area. And first off, the coming off of 195, that was okay because the the merging on coming off of 195, I think people get accustomed to that and they merge and let merge. I think that works for now. But if you add another lane, then you're going to have someone coming off of that 64 across, all the way across, and that's a short area to come all the way across. And then to construction of a project like that will be years in the making. And that traffic on one coming to 195 north, it'll back up all the way down to Broad Street somewhere. I think it moves pretty good myself. That's clever.
Well, I appreciate that. I want to also point out that a lot of the data that I was showing about the congestion is projected out and assuming that there's going to be growth. So that's when you're seeing some of that 18 miles per hour speeds. It's actually really related to the future years. We're already experiencing some issues. So, and I totally understand there's plenty of times I come down I-195, it's not a problem, but we do project these out so that we can plan these very long, drawn-out projects years in advance and prepare. So, yeah. Yes. So I wasn't planning to stay.
So do me a favor, if you have more questions that you want me to get you answers from VDOT, Barb, how are we going to do it? Just take a card. Barbara is my communications specialist. She's going to give you cards. You see her afterwards. I want to thank you, Philip, for being here because I wanted you to clear up, the truth and the false, statements about what are we doing. So right now, I'm hearing you saying it will not be closed anytime soon.
No time soon.
Come on, let's give him a hand for that, y'all. It's not gonna be closed. Thank you, Philip. My guy. Thank you, sir. Listen, we're gonna talk real quick about public works, sidewalks, roads, and pedestrian improvements. And we're gonna ask Ms. Sarah Briggs. She is actually our Transportation Division Director for Public Works Assistant. Excuse me. I don't want your boss to hear me say, I'm sorry, I apologize. Come on, y'all receive her as she comes up, Ms. Sarah Briggs. Come on, Sarah.
Well, you good.
I'll stay right there like trips and pollers. Try to walk around.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Sarah Briggs again. I work with Department of Public Works, Transportation Development Division. So just wanted to talk about some of our initiatives and projects that we're doing. Let's see to my presentation here. There we go. All right. Excuse me. I wanted to start off with our WOA initiative. That's the Watch Out Ahead Henrico program. You may have been to some other events around the county. We are promoting safety, pedestrian safety. There have been some accidents recently you may have heard of. So we're doing everything we can to try to educate people, teach them how to, just be aware of traffic and pedestrian crossings and how to use things like that. We have vests. We like to pass out our high visibility vests. We've got some on the table in the back if you want to pick one up. Excuse me, I should have brought some water. If you need more information, you can go to the county website. The police section has all of the information on the WOA campaign. So, roadway lighting is a big topic right now. Huge thanks to the board. In September of 2024, they appropriated $1.5 million to roadway lighting. So we've been trying to target priority pedestrian safety roadways and intersections. This is both VDOT and non-VDOT roadways. And we're working on lighting intersections and roadways with solar lighting. For drivers, we ask that you please be on the lookout for people walking at night. I know I've been driving at night on roads like Broad Street, and I'm driving along, it's dark, and I see just a hint of something, and I realize it's someone running across Broad Street with dark clothing on. It's scary. So please keep your eyes open. If you're walking at night, please wear reflective clothing. grab one of those vests, wear one of those. If you have a light, a reflective light, please carry that with you. So we want everybody to walk, bike, ride safely. What we have now, we have 288 miles of sidewalk, 56 miles of shared use paths, 60 miles of bike lane, 11 bus shelters. What we have programmed, 74 active pedestrian safety improvement projects for a total of $570 million. This is going to add 20 miles of additional sidewalk, 16 miles of shared use paths, 50 bus shelters, 75 benches, as well as multiple crosswalks and pedestrian signals. So I want to give you a look ahead at some of the projects we are working on right now. I'm going to start off with our Brook Road Improvements project. So this project is between Villa Park Drive and Hilliard Road. We're going to add sidewalk along the east side of Brook Road. The Lakeside Avenue intersection, I'm sure plenty of you have been through that intersection at Brook Road. We're going to realign that intersection. Right now it's offset from Lakeside Boulevard. We're going to line it up. Additionally, we're going to do some road reconfiguration to try to make that entire corridor safer. Another project we have is the Barton Road Safety and Mobility Improvements. So this project is going to add buffered bicycle lanes from Staples Mill to Brook Road. So we're going to reconfigure the lanes to have one travel lane in each direction and a center two-way left turn lane. We'll have traffic signals at Bird Hill, Impala, and Hermitage/Westlake. Those are going to be upgraded to include pedestrian and bike accommodations. So this one is one that the county manager referred to earlier. This is the one where we're replacing the old Scott Road Bridge over 95 with a pedestrian bridge. It's called the Garden City Connector Trail. It's going to provide a 12-foot shared use path all the way from the Cleveland and Athens intersection, where the Fall Line Trail is going to run through, over to the future Green City area, which that's sort of the older name for it. That's what Mr. Viltugas was saying was the best product site. So that's a pretty exciting project that I'm actually working on. The next project, the Hilliard Road Safety and Mobility Improvements, that is right out here. So from Lakeside Avenue down to where the Fall Line Trail is actually going to cross Hilliard, we're going to be adding some bike lanes. So we'll also be doing some reconfiguration of that road. Instead of 4 lanes, again, you'll have one travel lane in each direction and a two-way left turn lane. So then also bordering this area, we've got the Lakeside Avenue Bike and Pedestrian Improvements Project. So this one actually connects to the Brook Road project. So it looks like an odd little piece, but it does connect into that reconfiguration of Lakeside Avenue I was talking about. So this one is going to also add some pedestrian and bike facilities. We'll have a shared use path on the north side of Lakeside and a sidewalk on the south side of Lakeside, and these improvements are between Fairview Avenue and Wentworth Avenue. We'll also have some traffic calming measures. We're planning a small roundabout at Landsworth and pedestrian crossings as well. So that will connect in at Brook Road, and you'll also have the Fall Line Trail running down the west side of Brook Road that it will tie into. So again, on Lakeside Avenue, we have the bridge replacement. You may have heard about this one. That bridge is pretty old. So we're going to replace it with a wider bridge. It'll have 12-foot lanes, a nice 8-foot shoulder. We won't be dealing with that weight restriction anymore. It will also have increased capacity for the north run that goes under it, so we can help prevent some of the overtopping. That one's expected to go to construction early next year. All right. Again, going back to one of the ones that the county manager mentioned, this is the Magellan Parkway Extension and Bridge. So connecting to Retreat at 1 on the west side of I-95, a new bridge across I-95, and then extending the improvements along the Scott Road corridor all the way to Park Central Drive. So that will be a 4-lane and 3-lane, 4-lane towards the west, 3-lane towards the east roadway. It will also include a shared use path on the south side. And again, that will eventually connect into other improvements with the Best Products site and the Scott Farm site as well. So Brook Road, a little bit further north. This is up near the Virginia Center Commons area. We're looking at doing several pedestrian signal improvements. So we have 4 intersections that we're looking to improve. Those are the Virginia Center Parkway, the Technology Park Drive intersection, the Woodman Road, Jeb Stuart Parkway intersection, and the Virginia Center Marketplace intersection, which is the former entrance to VCC. And those will include pedestrian signals, crosswalks, refuge islands, and lighting as well.
Sarah, real quick.
Yes, sir.
So this project's important for us because, as VDOT stated, we don't have right of control of Brook Road. But if you notice, 2 years ago, someone got hit and killed crossing the street, and we made an effort to let VDOT make us take care of this road so we can do these projects. I just want to let you all know that we want to save lives and make sure it's lighted up. So that's why we did that one.
Yes. Pedestrian safety is a huge concern, as you can see by the common theme with a lot of these projects. All right, going to the next one. So this is the Virginia Center Commons VCC Connector Trail. This is along Magnolia Ridge Drive. So this will provide a 12-foot wide, 2-way protected bike lane on the north side of Magnolia Ridge Drive, and that's between Woodman Road and Brook Road. Also, we're going to complete some of the missing sidewalk along that stretch to Brook Road. A lot of it's been built, but we'll fill in some of the gaps. And then again, we're going to provide pedestrian crossings at Brook Road, crosswalks, push buttons at that on three lights at that intersection as well. Hopefully, a lot of you heard about the Fall Line Trail. This is a huge project, regional. It's 43 miles from Ashland to Petersburg. About 7 miles of it is in Henrico County. So we are working on, we've broken it into several segments. So we're working on several of them. We've got one of them completed at Spring Park. And then we have 6 remaining phases that we're working on. And all of them are scheduled right now for construction in 2026. So I'll show you the alignment here. This is Lakeside Community Trail Phase 1. This will connect into the Spring Park segment and run up to Dumbarton Road. So the next piece is the Lakeside Community Trail Phase 2, starts at Dumbarton Road and runs up to the Lakeside Recreational Area. Then the Lakeside Community Trail Phase 3 connects up with that and heads north to Hilliard Road, right out here, like I was mentioning before, with the Hilliard Road safety and mobility improvements that will tie in at that crossing. Next phase is the Brook and Hilliard phase. That's going to connect up out here on Hilliard Road, right along Hilliard, and then up Brook Road until it hits Lakeside Avenue. That ties in with the Lakeside Avenue project and the Brook Road project. From there, we have our Villa Park phase. That continues going up Brook Road, cuts over Villa Park Drive a little bit, and then heads north behind St. Joseph's Villa, if you're familiar with that, and connects up at Parham Road. And then our last phase is actually the longest phase. It's called the Longdale phase. It connects at Parham and runs all the way up to Woodman Road. That one it's 3.2 miles long, so we are it's a little bit further behind the other sections, but it's coming along pretty quickly. And then that will connect in with the Chickahominy River crossing. So there's a little piece in Henrico that was actually built already by VDOT. They handled the Hanover portion that runs up into Ashland. So that piece is already constructed and the trail is open. It's got a bridge across the Chickahominy. It's pretty exciting. I know that there are a lot of people that are thrilled that it's open now. So that's the Fall Line Trail through Henrico. If you have any other questions on any of these projects, you can definitely reach out to me. I do have one more slide. I just wanted to note that we have a newsletter called Word on the Street. So if you want to sign up for that, please do. You can check out go to the Henrico website and go to Public Works and find that. Or if you want to scan that QR code, you can use that to sign up. Any questions right now?
I'm curious if this budget allows for bicycles to be provided to the first responders who will never get through with all these road closures and traffic. And you're putting in all these bike lanes. It is ridiculous.
You already got bikes. You got the fall lights for you.
Oh yeah, I was gonna absolutely echo. I think the bike lines are ridiculous. I'd never see anybody on them. Occasionally on Brook Road, but is the fall lane? I mean, if you've got the fall line coming in, and then you're gonna destroy all of Hilliard and all these other places with the Brook Road. I know a lot of EMS hits cars and they can't get where they're going. And also it's pedestrians. I don't think we ever talk about their responsibility. Half of them wear noise counselors. They're on their phone. They're not hearing anything behind them, and then they're wearing dark to begin with. I think we need some good PSAs addressing zombies. Like, don't be a zombie. Make it fun.
Our Woe campaign has really been pushing that.
For those get out of boat and their headphones, music and everything else.
More being visible, paying attention. Certainly, I understand. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, they. Next question.
Yes, I want you to explain something to me.
Yes, sir.
Now, that bridge over Scott Road over 95, they won't open it. They closed. Now, they're talking about building a new bridge on Magellan across 95. Why can they build a new one over there and won't repair the one on Scott Road?
South.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. So the old Scott Road Bridge had been hit too many times and was damaged. The Magellan Parkway project was planned as the new crossover for I-95. So while we are going to replace the Scott Road Bridge, it's just going to be for pedestrians and bikes. And then just up a little bit north, we'll have that Magellan Parkway road connection with a wider road and more capacity.
What I think I understand why it's saying
do something about that bridge. Now, like I say, when you go to Scott Road from Brook Road, you got to go all the way around. Now they're talking about like Magellan building a bridge over 95. When you got a bridge right there, all they have to do, maybe raise it or something. Why can't they make access to go to Scott Road from there?
I honestly don't know all the history. Yes.
One reason is, hi, I'm Seth Humphreys from the planning department. One reason is that the new bridge is going to be 4 lanes. We don't currently have the right of way on Scott Road for 4 lanes. It would make the roadway closer to your homes, and we'd rather not do that and put that much traffic right in front of your house. We'd rather have a new road where we won't have homes right on it. Does that make sense?
What's the code in my guy? If you have any more questions for Sarah, please get a card. And yes, sir. For
That's your Shelley.
we got a quiz.
That's your Shelley. One pair. How many miles is it through Rico for the Belmont Trail?
About 7.
How many of those miles are actually sharing the road with
cars versus its own path?
The Fall Line Trail is its own shared use path. It's not like a bike lane in the road at all. It's a 12 foot wide paved trail in through the county.
Thank you.
Can we give Sarah a hand? Thank you, Sarah, so much with us. So I really real quickly want to just acknowledge the gentleman that keeps walking around. He's actually our Director of Community Revitalization, Mr. Eric Lebo. He's here to support. But next, we're going to have Ms. Emily Hurley. She's our Revitalization Specialist. And she's going to give us updates on our Affordable Housing Trust as well as Glen Farms. Can we welcome Emily as she comes today? Come on, Emily.
Thank you. Like Reverend Cooper said, I'm here to talk about some of the affordable housing needs in Henrico County. Supply of housing in Henrico has not been keeping up with increasing demand, which has led to price increases, which we all know is a problem nationwide. From 2020 to 2025, the median price for a home in Henrico went from $280,000 to $380,000. And nationally, the average age of a first-time home buyer is 38, which is certainly a lot higher than it's been in previous years. When we talk about affordable housing, we're talking about a family or household spending no more than 30% of their income on housing costs. Certainly that figure is a little flexible, right? If a household makes $300,000, if they're spending more than 30% of their income, they will still probably have money left over for food and medical expenses. But for a household making about $50,000 a year, those trade-offs get a little more, serious. So that's kind of what we're talking about when we talk about affordable housing. Also, there's, lots of research showing that stable and affordable housing leads to better medical outcomes, education outcomes for children living in homes, and community outcomes are improved as well. So some of the things that the county is doing to address the housing needs is supporting redevelopment efforts for permanent supportive housing and for rentals. We're working closely with developers on the Glenwood Farms project to make sure that that neighborhood is redeveloped effectively and responsibly. We have memorandums of understanding with some larger publicly supported rental communities in Henrico, totaling about 1,300 units to ensure that all of those are kept safe and up to code. We have the REAP and RECAP programs, which are to ensure that individuals with disabilities or seniors are not overly cost burdened by increasing taxes. And then we have the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, which is kind of my focus and my job, which we'll get to in a couple slides. So one of the projects in the Fairfield district has been Cooling Commons, which is a permanent supportive housing. It was redeveloped. It was a dilapidated medical facility that was owned by the city of Richmond. That was redeveloped into a mixed income apartment building for permanent supportive housing. So what that means is there is staff on site for individuals who may not be able to live independently. I think this is a really great project because having a project like this really helps with taking pressure off other systems, because if individuals aren't able to live independently or work full-time jobs, then, they may become homeless or, live with family members or things like this. So I think this is a really great project because it helps, ease the pressure on some of those other systems. SupportWorks Housing manages this building, and they also have things like independent living skills and employment training for the residents as well. So I think this is a really project that I'm really glad that Henrico supported. So focusing on Glenwood Farms, we want to make sure that this is a people-centered redevelopment. Residents can be scared when they hear about a new owner coming to a community like this, even when the previous owner was absentee and would kind of neglect the property. There were even accusations the previous owner was retaliating against residents who would make complaints. In August 2024, there was a new owner for Glenwood Farms, and the county is working closely with them, as well as Neighborhood Resource Center, a nonprofit, to ensure that residents who are currently living in Glenwood Farms, if they are complying with the conditions of their lease, are not can remain in this community. So the NRC is offering a lot of really great benefits to residents, things like job training, things like classes on financing and budgeting, and information about benefits like, SNAP and TANF that folks may not realize they qualify for. So that can really help. The goal is to kind of elevate the folks in the community to a point where when Glenwood Farms is fully redeveloped, they will still be able to stay. So again, this can be a scary process for folks because sometimes if there's a new owner, they will just build new buildings and raise rents, and folks either try to make it work or they have to move. But that's really, we're trying to be really thoughtful and really dedicated to this project to make sure that that doesn't happen. This is a timeline of just some of the most recent updates at Glenwood Farms. There are 2 phases that were on the property in July 2024. Housing Opportunities Unlimited began moving residents from the first phase to the second phase. Again, this is on site, so people are not being moved to a different area. They're staying in their neighborhood and in their community. In April 2025, the phase 2 units were completely renovated. And then in May, we finished moving folks from the original phase to phase 2. In June of this year, demolition was completed on the phase 1 unit. So the plan for redevelopment is to demolish what's currently there and rebuild. So that's a picture of the demolition down there. Yes.
Can you explain what Farms?
It's okay. It's I know it's in Fairfield. It's a Laburnum and Mechanicsville and Laburnum. Thank you, everyone. So like I said, the plan for redevelopment is to fully rebuild this community. These are some sketches for these are renderings. These aren't photographs of what the project will look like when it's completed. Virginia Housing has supported this with funding. Henrico is also raising funds independently for, again, the services provided by NRC. And in cases of families that are have maybe a fixed income or children, we are budgeting for some just straight up rental support for folks so that in the meantime, when this transition happens, individuals don't have to, immediately move or find a new job or something like that. So we really want to make this a smooth transition for the residents. And it's a project that is ongoing. And I think we're going to be really proud of. So kind of changing gears to home ownership, we do think in affordable housing, we do talk about housing as kind of a continuum. So from supportive housing, where individuals maybe get help from staff on site, all the way to home ownership. But this is a graph that we use in a lot of presentations, and I find it really affecting because it does show just how big the gap is currently between the salaries that a lot of county employees and county residents are making and the annual income needed to purchase a home. Things like increasing cost of land and rising construction costs have slowed development in Henrico, so we haven't seen the construction of as many new homes. And then again, stagnant wages have made homeownership more challenging and even out of reach for many. If anyone's curious, a revitalization specialist is right around elementary school teacher. So the county dedicated a $60 million investment. This is revenue generated from taxes paid by data centers for the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. The goal of the trust fund is to incentivize new homes to be sold at lower than market rate prices to individuals who are first-time home buyers who are under a certain income. So for different projects, there are different maximum income limits. The range we're looking at is about 60 to 100% of the area median income. AMI are numbers published for each region in the US by HUD every year. And that data is used to calculate these percentages. So if you're making 100% AMI, you are making basically the exact median of income in that range. So 80% would be less, 120% is a little more. It's also dependent on your household size. So the AMI for a 1-person household will be lower than a 6-person household. For a 4-person household, 120% AMI is, I think, like $130,000 a year. So these are not necessarily low income, they're just average income. And we're really trying to target that missing middle that we sort of saw on the last slide between someone who is working, who doesn't need like supportive housing, like they have a full-time job, maybe they have a partner with a full-time job, but they just aren't able to quite make it to what we're seeing for home prices. The goal of the trust fund is to support the construction of about 150 new affordable homes a year. I think we're currently committed projects. We have about 124. Okay. So again, applicants have to be first-time home buyers and have to be below certain income limits. This is a summary of some of the projects that have been approved. Parkside Towns is in Marina. Again, you can kind of see the Okay, thanks. The red numbers here are going to be the market price, and then the affordable price is here in blue. So what the trust fund does is it just makes up that gap, because a lot of the nonprofit developers, I used to work for a nonprofit developer, and they do a great job. They build about 5 homes a year. So if we're really trying to make a big difference in supply, which again, we hope will kind of move the ticker on the whole continuum of housing, we really need to get it. We need to get a little more ambitious with the number of homes we were talking about, which meant working with private developers and the private sector. So we fund these private developers so that they will deliver these houses. We fund homeowners. Yes, that's correct. So the homes eventually get delivered to first-time buyers at about $80,000 below market rates. Yes, a couple questions.
Previous slide.
Sure.
You had $60 million that being generated. Second.
In taxes from the data center. Oh, sorry.
From this slide right here, you got $60 million investment, or is that income coming in from the data centers every year?
Yeah.
Yes, Eric Lebo, Director of Community Rebate. It's income revenue from the data centers.
Okay, and these are the data centers in which we're hearing so much opposition to it. New ones being built?
Not necessarily new ones. They could be, not necessarily new ones. They're existing data centers as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. There's a question next to you.
How many of the units? So you had the market price and then your price, right?
Yes.
Like, are all 25 going to be sold at 205 only to people that qualify for the housing trust fund?
Yes, so it's project dependent. I mean, you see some of these have like a range. So some of the folks we worked with have decided to say we want to sell 5 homes to like an 80% lower income buyer, and then we want to have 5 set aside for 100% AMI buyer. So they can target different income ranges per project, but each of these houses the unit count is the number of homes in the development that is set aside for the first-time home buyers through the trust fund.
Okay, so then that's your count, the 25.
Yes. So, for example, Parkside Towns is 120 some odd units. 25 of those units are made affordable through the trust fund, to answer your question.
Nice. And then y'all are going to try to get some 2-bedroom, 1 baths, right? Like, get us some nice small starter homes. Like Lakeside.
There's a range of housing sizes. They range from actually 2 bedrooms and the condos. So some are condos that are a little bit smaller and much more affordable, and then some are a little bit bigger. So there's a range of options.
Yeah, I do real estate, and that's our biggest problem is finding small starter homes.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean that's our lowest price on there. You see is 185. That's for a condo in the landmark development.
Thank you so much.
So I'm just kind of curious. So once they bought a house, say they want to sell it, do they sell it at the market price, or do they?
That's a good question. Yeah, forgive me. So there's kind of two options for maintaining affordability under this program. One of them is a deed restriction that gets applied to the home where if they choose to sell it within 10 years, that deed restriction contains a calculation for a limited resale price. So they are only recouping. It's actually tied to their median income to ensure that it's affordable for the next buyer. The other option they have is to actually work with the Maggie Walker Community Land Trust, and they actually have a ground lease on the land, and they only sell the improvement, so it reduces the price of the home, and the land ground lease is for 99 years.
Which of those are in the Fairfield district?
So the next slide, thank you, is the crossings at Mulberry, which is the current project that we have that is in the Fairfield district. It has the 2.5 or 3-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom homes. The market rate price is $360,000, and the affordable price is $255,000.
Can we give Emily a hand real quick for her presentation?
And I'm going to push it. I'm going to push it.
I'm going to get you all out of here a little bit after 8. I've got some people that have been waiting. We've got our Parks and Recs. We've got our planning, and our officer. We're going to call them up real quick. Again, if you want questions answered, I'm going to give you a card. Reach out to my office. Any question you have, we're going to get answered. So real quick, we're going to ask Seth, who's been here all afternoon waiting very patiently. He's our county planner. He's going to give us some updates quickly on development in Fairfield. Thank you, Steph.
Thank you, Robert Cooper. I'm going to go through these pretty quick. I'm just here to talk about some of the development currently under construction in the district and some that will be coming. The first, we've touched on this some earlier, was the Virginia Center Commons redevelopment. Not only do we have the Sports and Recreation Center, but we have 2 hotels, 2 restaurants, 670 apartments completed or under construction, 75 townhomes completed, 149 under development, and 200 condominiums completed or under development. And then that's north of 295. Also north of 295 is Edgebrook, which is over off of Jeb Stewart Parkway. The site is currently under development, but none of the buildings are coming out of the ground. That's going to be 387 townhomes. Then moving south on Brook Road, south of 295, we've got the retreated one that's been talked about, considerably this evening because of the Magellan Parkway. That's where Magellan Parkway will come out onto Route 1, and you can see it down there on the bottom of the page, or on the bottom of the listing. That's near it'll come out near the old DMV that's over there. That's 496 dwelling units. There's some mixture still going on, some single family and some townhomes that are still under construction. Then across the street from there is the old Knights Inn motel, and that is going to be now the Brook Apartments. Those are under construction. Some people have already moved into some of those. So, and there will be some limited commercial with that as well. And then just across Hilliard Road from this facility is Belmont Green. That's rezoned for 18 lots earlier this year. It's currently has subdivision plans under review. So that's a good project, I think. And then we did talk about just previously the Glenwood Farms redevelopment. That's going to be 121 townhomes, 240 apartments, and with 152 age restricted apartments as well. And Springdale Park, which is what Glenwood Farms was partly modeled after, that's pretty much done now. It's got 465 apartments. It's on the former Henrico Plaza site. Almost complete. It's just finishing the last touches with the, I think it's a Chipotle that's going in there.
Excuse me, it happens to the one that's going to be brought to you again.
That one, Belmont Green.
Yep. It's just that it's the bond.
Hold on one second. Let me get a mic to you so we can hear your questions online.
She asked when it would probably start. This one, the plans are currently under review. I'd say probably this spring you might see some site work on it.
Right.
If they're going as and you know, we don't hold the developers to that. If they get their plans approved, it depends on when they get their financing. And that type of stuff, and when they move forward with it. So moving back up towards River Mill, this is another one. This is one of our new zoning districts, or our new zoning district, R5B. This is called Winfrey Road LLC. It's a current rezoning request, so it's under review. This is not approved. It's going to the Planning Commission in October. It would be for 40 homes, and these are on much smaller lots, hopefully more affordable.
Seth, we have a question over here.
Oh.
Sorry, just a quick question with all of this. Are there plans for schools to be built to accommodate families?
Yes.
All of this?
For each rezoning case that we do on these, we get numbers from schools on whether they need capacity, or whether the schools in the area have capacity. Overall, the system in Henrico has capacity. Right now, they are looking at doing some redistricting, and I'm very glad that I don't have to do that. So you can ask your school board about redistricting. Oh yeah, there is a new elementary coming on Fairfield. Actually, if you look at this map, the Fall Line Trail is right there on the right side, which will go through the power lines. Right on the other side of that is going to be a new elementary school. So we are continuing to work. The county does have great funding with the meals tax for the new schools and facilities for them. So, you know, the voters approved that years ago, and it is coming to fruition, and it's helping pay for our new schools. Yes.
I'm having a hard time believing that with well over 1,000 residents that you've just talked about being developed, the ones that are currently open now and lagging in occupation, if you will.
Lagging in occupation.
Yeah. Unoccupied particle. Occupation, yeah.
Oh, in terms of the schools?
Valid.
Oh, occupancy of...
Occupancy of the dwellings.
Oh, right.
Okay. And all the new ones that are coming up, I find it really hard to believe that our schools have all that capacity right now, because we've just heard the high schools all of them are within like 100 students of capacity. So you can't tell me that just in the Fairfield district, these homes are going in and the whole county is going to be just fine, because there's a ton of this going out in the West End and there's stuff going out in the East End. So see, this is a big disconnect. There's a disconnect between the schools, the planning for construction, and the roads. It's all disconnected. And what we're looking at is we're building all this stuff, and then we're looking at 5 years to 7 to 10 years out for schools. It just doesn't work.
Well, let me just say this real quick to your statement. So Henrico High School in the Fairfield district, the only high school I have, is at 62% capacity. Henrico High School right now is the lowest capacity high school in the county. Example, Highland Springs, 2,000. Glen Allen, 1,900 students. So Henrico High School has less than 2,000 students, around 1,200. So that's the purpose of what's going on now. The first meeting for redistricting is taking place tonight. There'll be 2 others. So they're looking at the whole system, talking about capacity. So
it's 1,200 students, as I've said.
No, sir. Henrico High School right now is at 62%. So, yes, sir, which is in the Fairfield district. So when Glen Allen was built, students from Tucker, students from Hermitage, they went into Glen Allen. So students were taken from Henrico as well to fill Hermitage. So now with the enrollment patterns, making sure that the system is equalized because we have capacity all across the division, it's about realigning it. That's what they're doing now. So there are 3 meetings that are taking place on school side. First one's tonight. I've got a slide. You'll see it. There are 2 more coming. So that's in conjunction with that. So yes, they've done that. We're looking at the studies to make sure we have it. Yeah.
And you know, also add, we can build new schools, and we have new schools planned, not just in the Fairfield district, not just the elementary schools. I'd have to go and look at the CIP, but we do that. We project that out 10 years. And we work with the schools department. We feed them all of these cases, and they project out the number of students that they get from that, and they compound it. So they're looking down the road, they're identifying where in the system they need their schools, and more school capacity. Another thing that we're doing with the schools, that we've talked to them about this, not just redistricting, but new centers. The Henrico High School is going to have, what is it, the counterintelligence or cybersecurity center. And so children from or high school students from the other districts will go to those centers, and we're providing not only a great education for them, but we're filling our capacity across the yes.
Go somewhere else.
Yes.
There's no net stage.
No, there's not, but that fills the capacity where there is capacity.
I'm talking about that.
Yeah. So I'll go ahead and finish with these. Also, this one at Woodman and Mountain, we've got some 58 townhomes, the expansion of current existing townhome community to the south, and then some non-residential that we've got going on is the Lewis Ginter Conservatory expansion at Wick Lake. Some of you may be familiar with that. That's under construction now. It's going to be 13,150 square feet, which is great, I think. And then I'm sure many of you are familiar with the recent charrette that we had for a lakeside corridor design. They have taken the input from everyone and moved that to the staff and the consultant, and they're currently developing a report which they would come back out to the public with to get additional feedback on what that report is. So that concludes what I was doing. If there's any questions on any of those, I'd be happy.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Watching all you've just presented, is the future of single-family detached homes in Henrico County over with? Because the vast majority of what you showed was being built are condos, condominiums, or townhouses.
Yes.
And that single-family homes are not being built, detached families homes are not being built. What the end result is, if people want to get a single-family detached home, it's just driving up the price for the ones that are already in there, and their property taxes and the insurance cost. And so
that's one of the solutions that we have there, is a smaller lot, but that is a detached single.
like the 1,000 foot square lot y'all passed.
Yes, and River Mill is still building single family homes as well. So there are other developments out there that are currently under construction. Oh, fairways.
So on Creek Road fairways as well as single detached, and more are coming. So that's just what's coming right now.
See what Tim Libby's built and all those things out there from Libby's built. Okay, good stuff. And now it's all.
That was.
They didn't go with them.
They sold those homes to government development.
Yeah, but it's $1,000.
We don't get involved in private sales.
Hold on, that's more of the mic real quick. Oh, the one right there's
Yeah. You're just building Henrico County like.
Now, once again, Henrico County does not build homes. We're working with the developers to come in and request these. We do have tree canopy requirements that require a certain part of this. or that it be treed. We all also are doing Glover Park, which is a huge park for the area, and preserving that. We're preserving Verona Farm, Wilton Farm in the East End. So we are trying to do these things, and what we're also trying to do is we're also trying to encourage redevelopment. So when he talks about Libby Mill, those were already developed, and we've gone back in and allowed more density there to redevelop that and create housing on areas that were already developed, so that we can hopefully preserve more land.
I just wanted to piggyback off of his question in terms of detached single family homes. I think most of us live here in Lakeside and we have smaller homes. My house is 950 square feet and I don't see homes that size built anymore. So I'm just curious, when talking to developers, what is the conversation like? And is there a requirement for square footage for, per person? How many people do you anticipate being in these new homes and apartments?
Sometimes there's a requirement for square footage if they proffer it. We don't have any requirements for minimum square footage in our zoning code. So they can build whatever size they want, and they go by the market.
Let me get her fight real quick. Oh, great.
Nice. Seth, thanks for being here again. Earlier on this slide, you said we hope that this project will provide some more affordable housing. To what degree does the county have to be involved in that, like push for the affordable housing, or are we hoping the developers do the right thing?
We're several things.
By my stand.
Several things on that. One, they can work with the Department of Community Revitalization on their program that was just talked about very well. And additionally, what we're hoping for is by offering a smaller lot size, that brings down the price of housing as well.
I kind of want to piggyback on, I can't remember who it was, but my question is, and I understand that Henrico County, we don't build homes. We're not builders. But when you do have developments like Libby, and in that particular area, when the builders buy up those areas and everyone is gone, like what happens? Like you said, what happens to those people? Like, what are there any programs? Because again, their motive and is to buy up that property. It's the same with Libby. It's the same with like Creighton Road. I know the golf course was there, but again, where are those people going that need that affordable housing?
Working with Department of Community Revitalization. Yeah, they were owned by the same ones, and honestly, the housing or the apartments that were there, suburban apartments, I didn't want anybody to live in. And they were like Glenwood Farms. They needed to go. Now, some of the additional single-family homes that are surrounded there, they came to us after they bought those homes. We didn't help them buy those homes, and we didn't tell them to buy those homes. They came to us after that and said, we had got all these from people, and a lot of them were people that are just moving on and selling their home and moving on to the next one, and they bought them up over 10, 15 years. So, they didn't go in and force anybody out. Everybody willingly sold their homes. I mean, now it does reduce some of those detached single-family homes, but it replaces it with many more also affordable housing units.
This is one more question for two more presenters, so I think I never had it right here.
Oh, so Rev Cooper, could you speak a little bit to your vision as the representative for the area when it comes to supply of affordable detached homes for residents who are looking to either purchase a starter home or maybe even move from an apartment to a detached home?
Right. So I definitely work with my planning commission there and looking at how we're going to make affordable housing detached available. So that's definitely something I want to make sure we focus on and work on as well. Last question.
We've talked, you guys have presented this evening a lot about what we're seeing on the development front. One of the options we don't hear a lot of talking or discussion about is existing stock of real estate. and how you can improve that. And for years, I've worked in this business for 30 plus years. We had winterization type programs. And we've gone so far away from those programs. A current homeowner can remain in their home and they can make improvements to improve the efficiency of that home. And the reason this is so important, before you answer, the reason that this is so important, because with the appreciation in real estate assessments and real estate value, we are finding more and more people are just being pushed out along with appreciation. So it gives that current homeowner, such as my mother-in-law, the opportunity to remain in her house where it's already, if you're coming in with a fixed income, it makes the home affordable.
Yeah. So thank you, Mr. Richardson. I appreciate your question. So the county funds not local nonprofit organizations to do about 70 rehabs, to your point, a year. So those programs have not gone away. We're still funding those types of programs. We do about 70 a year. And it's really intended to do exactly what you suggested, help existing homeowners stay in their homes. There may be individuals on fixed incomes who may need repairs made to remain in their home. So that program allows those repairs to be made and allows them to stay in their home. In terms of single family product, I mean, we're working with the trust fund to develop more units, whether it be townhomes, whether it be condos, or whether it be single family detached homes where first time home buyers can, people can move out of apartments that maybe can't save enough for a down payment. So we're really kind of seeing that ebb and flow in the continuum. So as we create more product that's affordable to home buyers, that first time home buyer, then they're exiting apartments that may be backfilled with others who need affordable rental. So we're affecting the entire continuum with the options that we're providing. And we're not solely focused on density. We're providing a range of options because some people want different things. Some people love single family detached and we will provide that product. But some people want townhomes because they don't want to maintain a yard. So we want to make sure we have a variety of options to meet the needs of the community. And I can tell you that folks that are graduating from college coming home, they cannot buy a home. As Emily mentioned, 38 is the average age now that people are buying a home at. So we're trying to create product for them as well. And I can tell you most of them, not all, but most are looking for a different product type. They're not looking for your traditional single family detached. They're looking for townhomes because they don't want to cut grass. They want someone else to maintain it. But again, range of options, and happy to talk more about those programs, sir.
Hey, can we give Seth and Eric a hand? Thank y'all so much real quick. And any questions, let me know. Before you go, we're going to spend, these guys going to take 5 minutes. Come on up. These are our public parks, our parks and rec. We have Jeff, he's our division director, leisure and outreach services, and Julian, he's our division director, history, heritage, and natural resource. Take it away. Come on, give me a hand real quick.
Thank you. We talk really fast, so record speed.
Record speed, lightning speed. So, yeah, there we go. Let me click. So, just to kick off our presentation, just last week, we reopened the Three Lakes Nature Center.
Yes.
On our opening day, and of course, this was 10 o'clock on a Thursday morning. Kids are in school, people are at work. We had almost 500 people go through the center in like 5 hours. And I can tell you, there may be about 500 go through, but there were a lot more people outside. And we have a video, but we're going to skip that just so for time purposes.
You can watch it on YouTube.
Yes, please watch it on YouTube. It's a great job that our media services put out. And now the experience of the Nature Center is a seamless transition from outdoors, highlighting the life cycle of a frog, and the new outdoor mural with our new featured exhibitions about Virginia's prehistoric past, native Virginia species like Ursula, the American eel, that you'll see there in the lower picture, to our extraordinary ecosystems in your backyard, sensory-friendly experiences for all ages. Opening weekend activities included our outdoor concert, movie in the park, and extended hours from our Nature Center. Over 2,700 people went through the Nature Center last weekend. And I can tell you, just talking with the staff, it just feels so great for that place to feel alive again. And wait, there's more. 2026, we'll deliver phase 2 of those exhibits, which will include exhibitions about honeybees, monarch butterflies, copperhead snakes, and other native Virginia venomous species, freshwater mussels, and our behind-the-scenes animal care experiences. But not to be left out, we have a new bathroom coming.
Now, crews are diligently working as we speak. Well, not right now, but during the daytime, which will support the playground, the park, and soon a walking, biking trail from Lake Overton. And you may wonder, what's going to happen to the existing math room? Well, we're going to keep it. It's going to be revitalized into a new animal hospital and quarantine space. And that's where we're going to have our new animals when we have to bring them in or when we need extended veterinary care.
So with the reopening of Three Lakes, we have lots of fun programs coming. So the recreation coordinators and the Three Lakes programming team have dip netting, butterfly programs, wetland programs, beach in a bottle of sand art. I told you I talk really fast. It's okay. And then something new, Little Engineers, Beaver Edition. Kids are going to come and build beaver dams and test them out and learn all about beavers. Quick plug, if you don't know, all the programs that we do in recreation and parks are free, right? Probably the only recreation department in the nation that does that. All of our stuff is free. Good mix of registration-based programs and non-registration-based where you just show up and have a good time. Everything listed up here are all programs that take place in the Fairfield district right now. Lots of fun stuff. Bingo, history programs. We have our upcoming Veterans Brunch. We're going to roll through these. We're going to teach you how to find all this stuff at the end as well. That's right. Fitness classes, if you don't know, 2 fitness centers, one at Eastern Henrico, one at Deep Run. It's one of the few things that has a fee, $10 per person, $20 per household. All those fitness classes are separate though. You can get a pass and go to all of those for free. Community events, State Fair Games is coming Monday. Kids are out of school. We try to plan stuff when kids are out. We have our Health and Fitness Expo coming up in October at the Eastern Henrico Rec Center as well. Keep it clicking. Movie in the park. Who's been to one of our movies in the park? We need to see more hands. Come to our movies. We have 3 more to finish out the year. 1 tomorrow at Dory Park, as long as the field isn't underwater. We have 1 coming up at Eastern and 1 at Deep Run later in October. We have Soulful Sunday, which is how many years have we been doing this now?
This is year number 6.
Year number 6. Coming out, food vendors, live music, vendors. Have a great time there. Halloween is coming. Spooky season bash here at Belmont. Halloween-themed activities. You can trick-or-treat twice. You can go once Thursday night to Eastern Henrico for a trick-or-treat. Then you can go trick-or-treat on Halloween in your neighborhood.
If you want to.
If you want to.
And then we have a traveling exhibition that's called Unbound. It's about the free Black Virginians prior to the American Civil War, and it's going to be at Eastern Henrico Recreation Center twice. And if you're interested in, not only is it going to be at Eastern, it's going to be at all of our sites, but I just want to focus on the ones that are going to be in the Fairfield district. So please reach out if you want to know more information about our exhibitions. And then upcoming, our Henrico History Project. This is one of my favorite things that we do. Every 5th grader in Henrico County has the option of participating in this program. They win for their school, then they represent their schools at the awards reception, which is held at the Sports and Events Center. That's going to be December the 1st at the Sports and Events Center at 6 o'clock. It is so much fun. Now, we do award a 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place, but the people who actually attend are the winners because these students research, they write, and they present it. You get an opportunity, they get to present it to you individually. So just being in the room and hearing these 5th graders explain to you Henrico County's history, it is just amazing. And they're pulling out topics that most adults don't even know about. They do all the research themselves. Very rigorous requirements for that, but they have so much fun with it, and we have so much fun. And there's food.
And one of the last things we wanted to share is a new way for you all as citizens to share feedback with the Recreation and Parks Department. So you're going to start seeing this QR code that's on the screen popping up in our parks and facilities. So say you're on a walk in a park and you see a slide is broken. You can actually report that damage. It comes to our leadership team. I'll give you 1 second. Then it'll come to our leadership team. We can evaluate that stuff and take care of it as needed. If you're watching this presentation and you want to let our bosses know that Jeff and Julian did a fantastic job, you can scan this QR code.
You can do that.
And let them know that we did a fantastic job. But we want to hear comments, feedback, anything you have. You can take a picture of that QR code and send it our way. Yes, ma'am. Question.
Thank you. You didn't mention I know this isn't in our end, but the new pickleball courts, which are absolutely phenomenal out in the West End. My question is, Moody Middle has a couple nice courts. I think I set this question in actually. Can a community wall be put in like you would for tennis courts years ago for solo for solo practicing or whatever right here at Moody?
Thank you for sending me that question. The answer to that is Rexham Park does not maintain that facility. It's schools. And so what we've done is we've reached out to schools to get an answer for you for that specific question. Yes, ma'am. Also, real quick, Julian, Jeff, y'all tell them about what we're doing security-wise for all our parks real quick.
Easily. We are actually adding in AI-powered, AI-enabled cameras into all of our parks. They have the ability to recognize people. They also have the ability to basically tell people if they're doing something they're not supposed to do or in a place that they're not supposed to be. Now, everybody's phones, granted, more than likely your phone will tell you something. Somebody said a trigger word in here tonight, and it will start advertisements and things like that. This does not do that. So we will not start sending you things. You're not going to automatically get registered to our newsletters or things like that. This is basically just to keep everyone safe. It's going to be on our walking trails. It's actually in some of our parks as we speak. And this is just another way that we can keep engaged with the community, keep engaged with public safety to make sure you stay safe while you're inside of our parks.
Yes.
Few more questions. Did sirens go off? Like recognize space, it was Edison release, all that stuff. See in the park. Are you gonna send the comps down? Sirens?
It has the ability to alert police.
We can alert police, but not sure how the capabilities on facial recognition.
But you what?
We're not sure about the facial recognition.
Yes, ma'am. Another question.
Sir is making your first recognition reads Belmont in the 15 shares.
That is part of the comprehensive plan. Yes, ma'am.
Subject are faculty built this those
Not that we know of.
should be. Pay yourselves and treat us.
Yes, another question here. Adding reckless care.
Oh, at 3 Lakes, sprinklers in the fountains. Water feature. Oh, water park. Oh, I don't know how my fish would like that, but we can. That's something we can take a look at.
Any other questions? Great. Thank you.
One more thing.
Sorry.
This is also how you can keep engaged with all of our programming, get to our program guides. You can register for those newsletters I was talking about. We also have our program registration. You can look at the shows at Henrico Theater. All of our information as it comes up, as you get updates and things, all of that is up there on our website.
Thank you so much.
I'll give the Julian and Jeff show and Officer Arnold has got 2 minutes. Our community officer quickly. Come on, we get out of here.
Gosh.
All right, I've got some experience with speed, so that's no problem. I'm Officer Arnold, Henrico Police. It's pretty appropriate that I'm here because I heard some people talking about police cyclists. Okay, so we're not just cops on bikes. I tried to go through and remove as many acronyms as I possibly could, but I'm a certified member of IPIMBA. That's the International Police Mountain Bike Association. So that takes me from being a cop on a bike to a police cyclist. Okay. So, Sept. Sept is crime prevention through environmental design. It's kind of where I live. And if you want to use that in a sentence, everyone had money for the movie Sept. So, crime prevention through environmental design, what are we talking about? We're talking about your homes. We're talking about the 3 L's. Locks, lights, and alarms. You can add camera systems, okay? So any kind of intrusion detection, anything that you've got, use it. I know people that have alarms in their home, don't use it. Don't know the code, don't know if it's being monitored, don't know the number to call the monitoring company. These are things that we want you to find out now before we have the problem, okay? The next thing, who's got their cell phone? What kind of charge are we talking about on our cell phone right now? Whose phone's almost dead? By the way, mine can't be tracked, Jeff, so you can't get me. Okay, so I want you to keep this thing with you and keep it charged. But what we're going to focus on tonight is the gift of giving. Who's having a hard time figuring out what kind of presents you're going to get for the person that has everything? It's hard, right? What about a portable cell phone charger? All right. What about a solar-powered charging station? Oh, that would be handy, right? What about a jump box for a dead battery in your car? See, we're going road flares, right? Who likes water Water's a great thing to have in your car, along with a blanket. If you're going to drink your water and use your solar-powered system to recharge your phone so you can call 911, why not wait under the comfort of a warm blanket while we come to rescue you, okay? A flashlight. Ooh, I carry one with me. Dash camera, okay? This is one of those ones, this is a gift that gives. We just actually had a crash right outside Hilliard here, and we heard two different versions of the events. One person said, I've got a dash cam, and showed it to me. Picture's worth 1,000 words, folks. Now, I brought you all gifts. They're right back there on the table. They're the woe vests. What did you guys bring me? Just think about that. It's rhetorical. Reverend Cooper, I'm done.
Bob, can you put back the slide of the next forms, if you don't mind, quickly? If you could put that slide up. So our next Board of Supervisors meetings, please note September 23rd, October 14th, 28th October, November 12th, December 2nd, December 16th. All of them are online. Our meetings start at 6 p.m. Again, our next forums will be October 30th, 6:30, Harvey Elementary School, November 20th, 6:30, Henrico Sports Entertainment, December 18th, 6:30. I'm sorry that we went over, but you know what? It was worth it because you asked the questions, you got the answers. Anything else you need, please pick up one of my business cards to reach out to me. Thank you all for being here tonight. I hope everybody has a safe night. Thanks for coming out, everybody.